To record. I am recording in progress. Okay. We
And
episode
that's
4.
all I heard about Entranelna. Yeah,
This is
so
the
the song and
third one
dance.
I've recorded for season 5. Still have oh well, you're coming on for the season 4 breakdown. You know about that, or you're at least invited.
And oh yeah, that's as we haven't done season four and we're already recording season. And I see you haven't probably yet got a hold of Captain Mike for the infamous
Oh, I have.
Shatner episode.
That's set for my Monday morning.
Right. I'm
So
saying that you're recording them already slightly out of order because
yeah,
availability.
well, it's
Yeah.
I mean, actually this in 28,000 feet, it's like unlike season 4 where I'd only seen the parallel, like I've seen the crap out of these two, right? I mean, let's see which ones I've seen too much in season 5. I mean, there's plenty in season 5 I've not seen. So,
Does my fan make a significant amount of background
I don't
noise?
think so. I'm even curious if I can turn up my fan without getting background noise. Zoom's quite good at blocking out. Can you hear that?
Well, hang on, let me
Yeah,
plug
I
both
think
of my
Zoom is
ears.
pretty good at cutting out background noise to the point like if you try doing a sound effect with your mouth, sometimes it doesn't come through, right?
I know I need to get a windscreen for this because I was definitely hearing me pop peas in the mic while I was doing my
Because
synopsis the
like
other
on
day.
Mission Log, I listen to their Patreon where it's like, oh, there's a truck, there's a plane. I'm like, I don't hear it because we're hearing the Zoom. I guess if you're listening to the local, you do get
Yeah, I
it.
never
So
hear the things John complains about over at Roddenberry.
I'm
Apparently,
just
he stopped.
assuming that's on the local, right? So which they use.
Hmm.
When I do the Disney one, that's on StreamYard, so I tend to close my windows and turn on my air conditioner, even when it's like not that hot out, just because I don't want ambient noise. Because there's birds outside, cicada, trains pass occasionally. I tend to hit the pause when the trains pass, but I think Zoom's knocking it out, and I don't bother with locals, and it hasn't come to bite me in the ass yet. So.
I've noticed they stopped, almost like they stopped doing locals on Mission Log. I don't hear them doing their countdown or anything anymore. I think maybe they've
I think that's
either.
just because it makes it, there's so many guests. It's just like run your local and we'll chop it up
Yeah,
later,
well,
sort of thing.
right now, yeah, the way they're doing it right now with guests who aren't familiar with the process, maybe it's just easier. But
I
you
am
kind of
trying to,
leaning onto the Zoom's reliability pretty hard.
I tell you who the guests coming up for some. I don't know who the last night of a jockey is yet, to be honest. So that's the one with only Mickey Rooney. So I want someone who gets the mixture.
Can't say I'm
Live
heavily into Mickey Rooney myself, so
Living Doll. I think I tossed Luke a good one. I think he'll like the scary doll, which I have been told do not say the catchphrase on YouTube or you'll get a strike.
is it
So
Talking Tina or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah. If you, I've heard
Don't say it on YouTube or you get a strike.
like the bots
What?
will the bots will search that out as like inflammatory talk or something. I don't know if that's true,
Oh,
but
you mean her threats?
yeah. I've heard like
Okay.
don't quote her is what
Okay, I'm
I've
not
been
sure where
told
you're
by I think
going
like
with
two
that.
people, more than one person has mentioned that to me. Like, don't quote her on that episode. You're still up for the old man in the cave because no one else has asked for that. Uncle
Oh,
Simon is the first one Mark specifically requested.
oh, that's
Um,
the one he was talking about. Yeah, he seemed very excited about that.
Probe
What
7
is
over and out. I might toss to John.
Living John? Well, I know Shani wanted to do Living Doll, but you got it for Luke already, I guess. So
Oh,
what's the next?
did she ask? I don't think she asked for that one.
I put it on
She
the list that I sent you,
Oh,
but I don't
okay. I
know.
have her down for Ring a Ding Girl and the Bewitching Pool.
Yeah, those two I remember. Was there another one in there?
There was one
Not
more, I think.
not Queen
Um,
of the Nile.
no, that's Dorian. She asked for that one.
Dorian is the Queen of the Nile. The masks, of course, that was the other
Oh, well,
one.
that's the one where I'm going to invite like 4 people and ask them to wear masks. Mardi Gras mask is fine because I still want them to talk, but I think I won't introduce anyone on that episode. Regular listeners will probably figure out who they are, but
Well,
this
to be
is
honest, we don't know what masks we are going to use.
yeah, but I'm going to suggest not episode specific ones, but ones where your mouth is not covered.
Yeah, I'd mentioned that. I said we can't really wear full face masks. Somewhere I
So
have an old Max Headroom mask, like the one that the video pirate wore that time when he broke in on that station on the I broke was it HBO? He got a satellite uplink and got on HBO for 5 minutes wearing his wearing his Max Headroom mask. That was
But
hilarious.
but yeah, Shani asked for it, Andrew asked for it, Dorian asked for it. So I'll invite the three of them, and maybe you'll be the fourth. I don't know, but everyone wears a mask, and I'll do the episode that way.
Yeah, I seem to be tagging along on all of them, so I'll probably be around. I'll
But
be
it
off
has to
camera
be four,
somewhere.
right? It has to be four people. So
I
um,
can be the dead father, uncle, or whatever
yeah,
in the
just
corner.
like the Spice
Just
Girls had
wear
to
the
be
I'll
five
just lie there
people.
like this with the death mask on me, and they won't say anything.
But yeah, so what else? Oh, I haven't. I was just yesterday, um, like with John and Mike, they didn't specifically ask for ones, but I've like kind of picked up their flavor of what they asked for, so I'm just putting them down for those. So it's like, well, I think I get that at this point. There's some I don't remember who I gave it to, and a few where I'm just trying to, like, I put Charlene or Jessica down for a few, but they don't know the show that well, so obviously they weren't going to request one, you know.
Yeah, well, I know you don't publish that list, but for my own sake, I like to kind of
I
keep
was like
tabs of
working on it
things.
at work yesterday. Like I said
Hmm.
before that, it had like 33% filled in, and now it's like 90% filled in, but I want to look at it once or twice more because I'm doing a little more assigning than usual.
Oh, I did put down Old Man in the Cave. Yeah, I was giving you options because I was like, well, here's like one about computers. Here's one about timekeeping. Here's like 90 years without slumbering, I guess was one I mentioned.
Oh, the other reason I put Luke down for Living Doll is he was complaining about, oh, miniature. He was like, I wanted to be on the one about the toys.
He would have liked that one.
So I was like,
Angus with Love, but your Mark's already got Angus with Love. That was one I tagged.
does he?
Oh, is that the one you just mentioned from Agnes with Love, or was that no? Uncle Simon was the one you
Uncle
mentioned.
Simon's the one that Mark specifically asked for. Agnes with Love, don't remember who's. It
That's the
might
one with
be
like Wally Cox in it, I think.
Richard Donner directing. Uh, yeah.
I put down the encounter because it's like now the only episode I've never seen the famous George Takei
Mm-mm.
one. And since we were doing Trek stuff, Brain Center at Whipple's, that was the other computer one I mentioned.
I might actually. The Encounters one. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do with that one. Maybe that'll be another one where I have multiple people on. So
Yeah, pulling Star Trek people, I guess, due to
that's
Takei's
kind of what
presence.
yeah. It's like I might want to get like I don't remember whose name I specifically
There
put
was
down on
another
that,
one.
but
Oh, the Jeopardy room. Martin Landau. That was the other one I was thinking about doing
oh yeah,
because
oh
of
geez.
Landau.
Yeah, well, actually I don't I think I might have put Mike's name on that just randomly, but actually yeah, I should just bring on the UN
Well,
mark for that and do it.
yeah, I was gonna say me, and Mark will just do a Space
Of
1999
course,
episode.
Barbara Bain's not in it, so that's too bad. But and actually, there's only
No.
three people in it anyway. Four if you count Rod Serling.
Barbara Bain's in The Lieutenant, though. I did see an episode with her, and that was kind of funny. It's like, oh, there is a Roddenberry connection to Barbara Bain after all.
Ah,
And of
oh,
course, Landau was in the running for playing Spock. Can you imagine Landau Spock? That
I
would have been
think
interesting.
yeah, that would have been weird actually. It,
I think he could have done it.
the Jeopardy room. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. It's one of the few Twilight Zone episodes to feature no supernatural or sci-fi elements. I think I've
Hmm.
seen this one at least once,
Yeah,
but
it's more like a Hitchcock or, thriller episode. It
yeah,
has
kind of
like
like the
no supernatural
silence.
stuff,
Yeah, like
right?
the silence or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
the silence in this one are the two that are like not very Twilighty.
and I
What is
didn't
it?
put
The triple meter is at zero, is what I'm saying.
and
It doesn't trip.
I didn't put a name by Owl Creek Bridge yet because I'm like, well, that's the weird one. Who should I invite for that? That's when it's not the Twilight Zone, right? Does Rod even do an intro for that one? They just show the film, right?
I think
Yeah,
he said, he says we brought over a film from France for you, and here it is, something like that.
tonight a presentation so special and unique that for the first time in 5 years we're offering a film shot in France by others. Okay, I'm gonna make somebody read that, I guess.
Did I tell you about my friend who was growing up during this time period? He swore up and down that Twilight Zone had made their own version of Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, and it turned out he finally looked it up. It was Hitchcock Presents. They reshot Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge and aired it. So there is
Oh, so
another
he's
version of it out there
kind of right
somewhere.
and kind of wrong simultaneously. That's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
fun
It's like,
sometimes.
a little Mandela effect going on there. Like, I could have sworn Twilight Zone did that. It's like,
That
nope,
makes
they
sense.
didn't.
Well, I think I mentioned before, my first sci-fi probably was the Buck Rogers TV show, which I then
Hmm.
forgot about because I saw that when I was like 3 years old or something. And then I saw Logan's Run a few years later and thought, oh, that must be it. But something always seemed a little off. I mean, I love Logan's Run, but obviously it's a slightly different flavor than Buck Rogers, but can be conflated with each other, especially by a kid, because they're
Hmm.
both like weird dystopian cities. So I guess Buck Rogers is a little bit less dystopian. I mean, when you think about it, it's dystopian. I guess that's the thing with Buck Rogers.
And sometimes you get the weird phenomenon of especially Buck Rogers, since it was the same production, same guy. You get like stock footage from Battlestar Galactica stuck in there, and you're going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Or
I
stock footage from Logan's Run, and you see the big
mm,
city, and you go, oh,
that
that's
also might
Logan's.
that might as a 6 years old or whatever, that might have been it. Like I saw some of the Logan, oh, this must be it, and it wasn't. It was Logan's
Yeah,
Run.
and you're faked out by it. Damn you, Hollywood. Your cheap budgets.
Oh no, I didn't pick up on it for years. So when I finally did see Buck Rogers again, I was like, wow. So I don't know
Well,
if
it's
my
like hearing
DVDs are
Star
that
Trek
or
sound
here or at
effects.
Luke's apartment. I need to look to track down my Buck Rogers.
Oh, you're Buck Rogers. And...
I remember Luke had it for a notable amount of time, and he might still have it.
Yeah, the
That's another one where I never watched season two at all.
oh.
I think that will have more diminishing returns though than Space 1999 did, where there's isn't Buck
Well, you don't
Rogers
like
season two
Dr. Theo?
just isn't season two just supposed to be kind of
Cookies,
a
buddy.
shit show?
Cookie.
Well, he's in
Yeah.
on season one. Dr. Theo's in season one. You get, in fact, I feel like maybe he's in less as season two. Am I wrong? I don't know. I haven't seen. I mean, I probably saw season two when I was like 2 years old, 3 years old again, or whatever. But yeah,
No, wait a minute. I'm probably confusing myself. Is Dr. Theo the little round computer that
yeah. But he's
Mickey was
heavily
carrying
in
around with him?
season one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, there was a snooty robot on wheels that rolled around. What was he called?
Oh, geez. Now I'm just gonna have to look that up. It's been a few
S-
years since I
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get to Twilight Zone eventually.
again. I don't know where my DVDs are, and I have too many things to watch, don't I? I was eyeing yesterday. I was like, I should get the Twin Peaks set on Blu-ray. The one where they include the new series as well. It's like only
I know
$50.
the
And but I was
captain
like,
of the ship was named after Isaac Asimov or something. Let's kind of remember that. God,
second season adds. Of course, they had Hawk.
Hawk. Oh yeah, he was
Oh
the
wait,
big
wait. Season two has Crichton, a snobbish robot built by
Crichton.
Goodfellow. Crichton,
Crichton.
Crichton, Crichton. Yeah, why am I saying Crichton? Because I'm trying to read it sci-fi. That's why. Um,
Crichton with a C. Not to be confused with Red Dwarf's Crichton with a K that came along a decade or two later.
maybe that's why I was trying to give it a different pronunciation.
Yeah, he was a snooty robot who was always, poking fun at the other robots.
So
Yeah,
Dr.
okay.
Theo is yeah, that's season two you're talking. And
Oh,
then
that's Tim Connor, right?
I
Or is
can
Dr.
scroll back.
Theo I can't remember. Dr. Theo I thought was the
This
little
is
round
this
computer that
this
he wore
wiki
on
page is
his.
weird in that it's easy to find cast for season two edition. Oh, here we go. Tim O'Connor, Dr. Hewer. There we go. I
Oh,
should know
Dr.
that.
Hewer. Well, yeah, he
I
was in both seasons, right? Yeah,
I
I
don't
remember Tim
think
Connor.
he's in both, yeah. His first season only is Princess Ardala.
I just
Uh
saw him on Twilight Zone.
Kane, only 3 episodes, huh? Tiger Man's only 3 episodes. Dr. Theopolis is only the first season, so that he doesn't have his medallion. That
Theopolis.
he does not have his,
Oh,
but they usually say Dr. Theo, I think.
they call him Dr. Theo. That was his full name. And he was part of a council of computers. So there was like this dais with like a whole bunch of little computers
Yeah.
sitting there
Oh, and William
who
Conrad
like,
is only the narrator in the first season, so they broke that. Oh, they do have a different narrator in the second season. Anyway, from what I understand, the second season is just freaking horrible. So, and someone else
it's
did
got a lot
Twiki
of
for 7 episodes. Huh.
space disco and stuff. Yeah. Well, you
Weird.
want to do a podcast with John Champion about that show because that's one of his favorites.
We did the movie way back when.
Oh yeah, there you go.
If you go, I think it's 2020 January 2021. We did actually it's Mark, John, and myself. There was some reason Luke couldn't make that one, so Mark filled, or maybe it's Andrew. Maybe Andrew filled in, but yeah, that's that's a sci-fi sanctuary without Luke for whatever reason that was. I don't remember what the reason was.
You got me wondering about the IMDb entry for Sci-Fi Sanctuary.
Okay, get my notes up here. I sent them to you. I didn't. I mean, I don't usually read notes anyway, but I just send them as a one as a courtesy, and two if it's like not a regular guest, it's kind of like a reminder, you know. Like it seems nice. I'm sending you my notes, but it's like, hey, you remember we're doing this, right?
Well, I just sent you mine a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we're still having like a hell of a time trying to find the Smolensk movie, by the
Oh
way.
gosh.
Mark's trying to like, I think he's like, I found Romanian subtitles and I then Google Translate. I'm trying to stick them to the movie. I'm like, yeah, you do that, man. He's like, yeah, I mentioned on the podcast a few times, we have to do it now. We can't do a plan B. So it is on YouTube in Polish, so we can watch it in Polish if nothing else.
So, I'm gonna put a pin in this. I'd like to know any episodes of Sci-Fi Sanctuary or Films and Filth that Luke is not present in, because I can just as a credits.
Last year, Plan 9 from Outer Space. There's no
Hmm.
Luke. And then the Buster Keaton one, there's no Mark because that's when he was in the hospital. Which I think in the
Okay,
end he missed
I'll
one podcast from his hospital stay, so our timing wasn't
I'll
too bad.
yeah, but Luke's, I think, hasn't he been absent from several because of his moving and stuff lately? Or...
No, he was on when he was moving. Or like I can look at the list
Well,
and
he wasn't in The Wicker Man. I'm just thinking of that.
oh yeah. That would be the most recent one he didn't make. So Wicker Man, Plan 9, I think are the only films in filth he was not there for. And then Mark was not there for the Keatons, Steamboat Jr. or
Sometimes I
whatever.
can suss this out from the descriptions. You'll mention that, Luke's out today, but we're doing this with so and so and blah blah blah. That's just.
Yeah. But
I'm just trying to
from memory, I think that's it. Yeah.
cross all the T's and dot all the I's when it comes to credits. I want to make sure everybody's got.
I'm never absent because I have a Zoom account.
Well, you
I
can
mean,
count on being every single podcast that's not a Pokemon card
right.
podcast.
Well, yeah, or Chiral Field Report or whatever. So mm,
I thought you
I
finished that one.
I
Did
think
you?
I think they're thinking of doing the Zelda animated show from the 90s.
I listened to the Digimon one and I don't even know what this means. Is this like another Pokemon? Digimon? Is this another franchise? What's it
Yeah,
all about?
basically yes.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's I guess Pokemon you collect lots of them. Where Digimon you have like one, but then it's cute most of the time. But then when it's fight time, it turns into some like crazy monster.
Okay.
That's the gist of it. I mean I only know a little bit more than you. On oral hygiene, we did the Digimon movie, like a short film that started the franchise.
Uh-huh. It's 100 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. It's not that here. I it is. Why is it not telling me? Usually it tells me. Oh, 72. Okay. Perfectly
You normally
reasonable
don't get
here.
over 40 C there, right? You figure
Correct. Oh,
40
and
is like 100 or something.
here, I used to live in Kanto. Like I used to live basically right. It wasn't the hottest city in Japan, but it was right next to the hottest city in Japan. So it's like the second hottest city in Japan. And I do remember standing on the world's hottest street corner and probably, I mean, if you live in Egypt, you wouldn't say that, but it was a really hot street corner. And I think the thermometer said like 42 or something, which they say it doesn't get that hot in Japan. Might have just been that particular spot, and it's not
You know what the
100%
hottest
accurate
place in
thermometer.
Japan is Blofeld's volcano.
Hmm. Well, the survivable hottest place is Komagaya, and I lived in Maebashi, which is next to it. Anyway, I live in Nagano, and the hottest days here are 34. I haven't seen it go above 34, which is way too hot for me, by the way, especially if the sun's out. Will I still go walking 15
What about
kilometers in that?
humidity
Yes, I
though?
will. It
You're from the
sucks.
south. Is the humidity
It's
bad
worse
there?
here. It's
Oh,
worse
it's
in
worse there.
Japan.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
guess you're on an
I mean,
island. That kind of makes sense. You're surrounded by water, but I
yeah.
east of the Rockies, I'm not comfortable. It's just too damn muggy.
Although I think Nagano City is the capital city, like for prefectures, is the capital in Japan that is farthest from the sea.
Oh, you're in the
Because
point that yeah, the most landlocked point in Japan.
I've lived in three different prefectures over the past 20 years, and all of them are landlocked. I've never lived in a non-landlocked prefecture, weirdly enough.
I just found a map on social somewhere. They post these maps of the United States, and one of them is like states that have neither a coastline nor a navigable waterway to the ocean.
Yeah.
So you cannot get on a boat and travel up to, I mean, you can get to Idaho by the Columbia River, I guess, but you can't go beyond that. You can't even go into Nevada, and that's the Colorado, because the Colorado is basically sucked dry by the time it hits the Gulf of Mexico. So there's no water to navigate. But yeah,
Yeah, from
very
here,
interesting.
if I drive, I could be at the beach in an hour 15, which that's not too bad. So, I mean, again, it's not that big an island. So, I live in,
That's about how far I'm in from the coast, about an hour.
yeah. So I can do that. Although that's on a highway that's going to cost me like $50 to use that highway. But
Oh, toll roads. Oh, fun. We got our share of toll lanes around here now. It's kind of strange. It used to be a Southern California thing, but they're starting to proliferate. And
I don't know what Atlanta's like. Like Atlanta, we just had one toll road, which I think might not be a toll road anymore. So well, why would I know what's going on in Atlanta now? But
I waited far too long to get an electric car because you used to be able to get stickers to slap on it that made you exempt from toll roads. I think you didn't have to pay those tolls or something. I don't know how it worked, but I think they're discontinuing the program because now there's just, it worked. It promoted electric cars, so now we're going to get rid of it. It's like, thanks.
nope, I
I
just been
just got
riding.
mine.
I've been driving a Honda Fit for what? Again, like 15 years. Yeah, because
Are electric cars a thing in Japan? I would think
you
there'd
see them occasionally. Yeah,
be more
I have
forward
not seen
thinking.
I've seen no Teslas in Japan. I will say that I've never seen a Tesla on the road, like ever, because I haven't been back in the States. So
Well, I don't know if
I've never seen a real Tesla.
Nissan or Toyota or any of the
I
local car
think there are
companies.
some. I mean, there's
There's
plenty of
Nissan
hybrids, of
Leafs. I know
course.
those exist. Yeah, hybrids.
Yeah.
So you live in
I'd
a
say
country that has freaking high-speed rail. I figure they would also have electric cars. I mean, they're more futuristic than most countries in many respects.
well, driving's weird. Well, one, I take the train to work, so I only drive like on Sundays usually. I could drive on Mondays, but I haven't been. But yeah, it's more like, just weird narrow roads, right? Because I live in the mountains, so.
They'll have to
Uh,
get the video tour of your of your estate there someday to see what it looks like.
oh well, the
Assuming
family house would be much more interesting than this
if
house.
I
This house is boring.
if I
The
ever
family
get
house is cool.
a passport and money for a ticket, I would love to visit Japan
Yeah, sure.
someday.
Have you seen the movie Summer Wars?
No.
One, I recommend that. That's kind of a Digimon thing. It's made by the guy who did at least one of the Digimon movies. I think the first one, like the short. But it takes place in my town. It takes place in Ueda, which is the city I actually live
Oh.
in.
Hmm.
And most of the movie takes place at a countryside house, which actually looks pretty much like my wife's family's countryside house. The one in that movie is much bigger, but it's basically looks the same, traditional Japanese house. But yeah, that is a very good movie that I will recommend. And then for Films and Filth, we're doing Your Name in a few weeks, also highly recommended.
Oh, what's this week's Films and Filth? Is it
Three Idiots,
Three
which is an
Idiots?
Indian film on the good list.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Um,
sure if it was that or if it was the Digimon birthday pick of Luke's or what
that
your
was
name was.
Digimon. Do you mean which one airs or which one are we?
Which one airs this week? Which
Oh,
one airs
sorry,
tomorrow?
Digimon. No, no, no. Spice World airs tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow is Parcel. Okay. Well,
And
I'll
then
alert
and then Digimon because
Shaney.
Luke's birthday is notoriously September 11th.
Not quite as culturally significant to a Brit than to an American to have your birthday fall on that day. I knew a guy who had a birthday on the
Oh
11th, and
yeah,
I was
but you
like,
just heard
"Oops,
he's got his five
sorry."
timer story. I mean, I'm sure he told it on that Digimon episode.
It's five timer story.
Yeah, where
No, I
he
don't.
got his new Digimon toy and wanted to show it to everyone, but they were all watching the news
Oh,
because
they were all watching the news. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I
don't
remember
you want to
that.
play with fire? Okay, yeah, let's do the show then.
I was just looking up
Sometimes you got to add that extra content, right? By ranting about
Ueda and
nothing for extended
Nagano.
periods of
So
time.
this is the train you hop on. I like to visualize these sorts of
Oh,
things.
Oya Station, if you really want to find where I am, which is not Nagano, it's Ueda City.
Yeah, I see Ueda.
Okay, so if you go east two train stations, that's Oya Station.
Oreo, Ario, Ario.
Yeah. And if you zoom in and look to the left, up and left from that, that's actually my house. See, my house is very close to the station.
I thought you were like more in the countryside somewhere. that you were
Yeah, but
hiking?
look at Oya Station and look up a
Okay.
little bit, and you're very quickly in rice fields.
Oh, up there. Okay. There's a castle,
Oh
the
yeah,
Weta
Weta
Castle
has a
ruins.
castle. Oh, you're looking at Weta. Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Is that
I work in
is
Weta some days. Today I do. Um,
oh, okay. Well, I'm looking at the wrong station then,
I
because
think you're
that's
looking at
this
the wrong. You're looking at Weta. Mine is OYA.
OYA. Oh, oh, I
So if
was
you,
a ARIO, ARIO station.
oh, it might be spelling it differently. Here I'm doxing myself on Patreon. What are my coordinates?
Please
36,
send me your
22,
assassination
14.
coordinates, Matthew. Art
Um,
Bridge, is that too far south? I'm thinking going the
here
wrong
I'll
way.
send the I'll send in the chat the coordinates. Feels very sci-fi. I was going to start the show and I didn't do that. Oh well. Now you're
Someday we'll
listening to
get
these.
around
Someday
to
we'll
it.
get around to it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of looked very downtowny. See, I was next to this castle ruins and all this stuff.
Yeah. You're
Cans,
in the.
uh,
Did you see in the chat?
Don
I sent you the
Quixote.
coordinates.
Oh, is it this chat or is it?
It's this chat. I guess I could put it in Discord chat too if you want.
Oh, there they are. Oh, okay. All right. They just popped up over there.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, they just popped up on Discord sends me a notification in the corner every time
Oh,
something
right.
shows up
Okay.
in
Can you
certain
can you just put
private
can
chats.
you just put in coordinates like that and get the spot?
Yeah,
Yes, you
okay.
can.
So is that the station or is that your house?
Oya
Cool.
is you see Oya, right?
Oh, I
And
see
then
it now. Okay.
above
Oh
that it said
yeah.
Sutaya. Look to the left on the train line, you see a bridge, and then there's a tiny little street across from the station, just next to the bridge.
Am I going south now
No,
or
north. Just I mean walking. If you see Oya Station, to the north of that is
okay.
Sutaya.
There's a road.
And then look left till you get to a bridge, that road, yeah. And then
There's a big road. It's called
National
141, I guess.
Oh, you're looking at 141. Oh, okay, you went too far north. Anyway, you're looking at my neighborhood, so that's good enough. And but if you look a little bit north of that, you see
Oops, I zoomed in and it popped me into the street view. So
oh,
now I don't
okay.
know
No,
where.
if you look a little north, you'll see like some pretty notable like countryside-ish area, which is the rice fields I keep
I
blabbing on
see the
about.
okay, I see the rice fields. I'm in the rice fields. Are you in the rice fields somewhere?
I mean,
Oya
that's where I
Park?
go. No, 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 no. I'm right near the station. So,
Oh, I
um,
figured you must be pretty close because you kind of run over there from these recordings.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
That's
figure
right.
you're not doing a 20-minute hike from your house in the mountains down
Well,
to
I
the
do.
station.
I do the 20-minute hike up in those rice fields.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, we
yeah.
don't have to get any more
So
specific than this.
it's not like inconvenient here. I mean, it's enough urbanization that stuff's around, but I don't live in a highly urbanized area.
I pictured you
Ueda
on a
City's not.
mountaintop somewhere in a shrine where the sci-fi sanctuary, right? That's
Well, you okay if you walk through those hills, those rice
hmm
fields, go all the way, and then there's you'll see a grocery store, and just north of that is some woods, and the shrine in those woods is where we recorded most of the Sci-Fi Sanctuary. And it says Misuzu Agata Shrine. That's where we. That's the name of most of the Sci-Fi Sanctuary recordings. Do you see that?
I see Oya Park, Homie Shrine,
Keep going north. Keep going north, and you'll see
north
a
of that.
grocery store, and then there's
S-
Misuzu. Here,
Sumiyoshi Shrine, is that
no,
it?
I'll put the name in the chat. Oh, it won't let me copy it. Oh, this is great. It's good. Well,
Sumiyoshi
this Patreon,
Shrine.
you've paid to listen to this. Copy
There's
to
a com
clipboard.
there's
Let
a
me put
community center.
here. Put that in. That's the Sci-Fi Sanctuary Shrine. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
we recorded a few different shrines, but like 80% of the time it was this one.
Oh, okay.
You have to go through several. They don't have great photos of it though. None of them are that great. Okay, the number 8 is the best one actually.
Now it's suddenly it's zoomed out. Now I'm looking at Osaka for some reason. Why did you do that to me? This is not where I want to go. All right. Well, it's lucky this episode doesn't have much to discuss, really, probably, because we
We'll
used
see.
up
We'll
all our
see.
time talking about.
dumb stuff. Well, that happens, and you
Japan
listen to
stuff.
the
No,
Patreon
but
cut, and
you
occasionally
live
it
in a
rolls on.
you live in an interesting location with all sorts of things. I mean, I can sit here and talk about the new Costco they're building across the road, but that doesn't really that's not good content. Nobody wants to hear about Costco.
And we hear about shrines and rice fields. Yeah. What community center? Where
No,
are
but
you at?
yeah, it's very interesting because I kind of envisioned you being more away from urbanization, but I
Yeah,
guess you
but
aren't.
check out the mountains nearby. I can drive and be in the middle of nowhere in about 20 minutes. Well, okay. When I will now give you the family house, which is pretty countryside-ish. Hold on. Here I am not doing the show again. That's fine. Chicama view line. Okay, we just Shinkansen's there. My brain. Oh, there we go. The house is that it? There it is. Okay.
I'm now lost off track where I am. I got
Uh,
lost on Discord in there for a second.
oh, that's fine. I'll send you coordinates for the family house, which is pretty countryside-ish. And that very I recently I haven't been spending so much time there, but sometimes I do. It kind of just depends on how life things are rolling. Those coordinates are the family house.
Um, those coordinates.
I mean, there's lots of farmhouses,
Boing.
but it's more notably countryside looking.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's lots of different patties and things. I see.
Yeah, they don't do corn. They don't, excuse me, they do corn. They don't do rice where I am, but apparently rice is not really something that's a bitch to grow. So,
Dude, you buried the lead. This is next to the Twilight Forest.
is that what they call it?
That's
The
what it says in
Twilight.
English.
Oh,
Twilight
okay.
Forest. It's like yeah, north of there, up there.
Oh,
It's like, why are we recording this podcast in
oh,
the Twilight
Kurumi
Forest?
Kurumi no Ki. Okay, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, we should be recording this podcast there in the
Oops. Oh
Twilight
well,
Forest.
mistakes are made. Well, that is where I conceived the podcast. That's where I was. That's the house where I was sitting in the living room with a giant hole in it with shovels in it, watching the Twilight Zone by myself. So, there could be a connection there.
The train
Um,
line just kind of goes straight through all that and
yeah,
doesn't stop. It looks
that's how I
like.
easily find. No, it's underground. That's the Shinkansen underground. It's going
Ooh,
through the
cool.
mountains, so it's so there's like one bus stop near there. It's like the Totoro bus stop. Actually, I just rewatched Totoro, and I was looking at the location where Totoro is supposed to be, and that's way more city. That's like Scranton, Pennsylvania compared to here. So, so I feel like yeah, this is more Totoro. Okay, let's give it 5 seconds, and then I will start a
Oh, look
show.
at the time. Gotta go.
Leave a big gap because it's like 30 minutes of chitter chatter.
There's your VAM, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast. It's where we delve into all of the episodes of the Twilight Zone and beyond. As always, this is Matt here, coming back for another round. It's Brian. How's it?
Oh, I just unstopped my watch.
What time is it?
I had to do a bunch of things before the podcast, and so I froze time so I can get them done.
If I could turn back time,
Back
like share,
there.
yes.
Yeah, we don't want to sing too much. We don't want to trigger
I
the
was actually gonna
copy
go, I was gonna
infringements.
say a few more lines of the song as conversationally, but I was like, I'm not gonna get them right, so I didn't. I just stopped.
Those are the only words I know. I think that's it.
It's a kind of stopwatch today. What is your watch life? Are you into, was it
My watch.
orology? What is it?
Or horology, yes. In fact, over on
Or,
the Mission Log Discord, they talk about that a lot.
yeah.
Norman is a big fan of watches.
Are you a
Uh,
horologist? Are you into watches?
I kind of like digital watches. I have a Casio here that many people say is vaguely reminiscent of a Casio. For the Patreon people, it's called it's vaguely reminiscent of a Casio that was worn in James Bond movie
Uh,
Octopussy, but that was actually a Seiko that's long been discontinued. It
I
just has
have
a vague resemblance to it, and so people call it the Casio Royale for some reason.
I haven't worn a watch for more than 20 years, which has a lot to do with being a musician, I think. I used to wear a watch. I remember having a Bugs Bunny watch from the Warner Brothers studio store because I worked there for a while. So
Oh, well, I got this and I kind of got back into it. In fact, go too deep into the weeds, but it inspired me to dig up some old watches I had
But yeah, the
over
reasons I
here in the
stopped wearing a watch.
drawer.
One, I play
Yeah.
the cello, so I think my wrist muscles must be a little more developed than normal, and it kind of hurts to wear a watch after a while. Like it cuts off my circulation. That reason one. Reason two, I'm left-handed. Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's some
okay.
old school. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little another Casio with a little keypad on it for, it was like a phone book watch, right? Before smartphones, you had to keep your phone numbers on you somewhere, right? So you put them in your watch. And so there's
Oh, okay.
that.
We had the calculator watch in the 80s when I was a
And this
kid.
is the
So
same sort of idea, but with an actual analog face to it. And I think these are
yeah.
still running. And like I said a while back, I got kind of reinterested and I dusted them off, put batteries in them.
Mm.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
I guess this is my episode. I'm talking about watches.
I used to play I used to play a lot of shows like rock shows too. So one, I played cello, so I just like it seems to cut off my circulation when I wear a watch, and then I'm left-handed, but I play music right-handed. So I'm playing, guitar on stage a lot, and my amplifier, it's a really nice amplifier. It's a tube, twin tube amp, right? Tweed, it's a classic blue
Hmm.
Sorv amp. Great amp, but it had this clicking noise. I'm like, I couldn't get rid of this clicking noise. Like you turn it on, it's been and it took me like a year to figure this out because I'm an idiot. But it turned out since I wear the watch on my right hand, not on my left hand, when I was playing the
Oh.
guitar, the pickups were picking up the watch.
Was it picking up the watch hitting the guitar or was it a ticking of the
It
watch?
was picking up the ticking of the watch.
Oh,
Like
so it was an
the
analog ticking.
magnetics, the magnetics in the
Oh,
watch were resonating, I guess, in a similar way the strings do.
oh.
So
That's a little bizarre.
there was nothing wrong with the amp. In
There
fact,
was
as far as I know, the amp is now with my old bass player, but
there wasn't a physical ticking sound. It was a magnetic
yeah, it would have been a
resonance
magnetic
thing.
resonance of it, but
Wow.
my amp was still going.
That's pretty interesting.
And then if you want to get a solid state amp, I remember maybe this isn't the case anymore. I guess we have less radio waves going through the air these days, more like wireless, right? But I do remember having band practices and suddenly picking up like AM radio or something. So that's kind of fun.
Hmm.
You don't want that. Well, Spinal Tap makes fun of that. Doesn't that happen in Spinal Tap? Where
Oh
it starts
yeah, there
picking up
was
radio? Yeah, because that happens. I
radio
mean,
signals.
yeah,
Hmm.
I did a podcast a few years ago with a guy that's pro musician, plays in Broadway. He's just jammed with McCartney a few weeks ago. I think you saw that link, but yeah, where was I going with that? Oh, Spinal Tap. He was just like, yeah, he was like that movie is a documentary. Like everything in that movie, it's funny, of course, but everything in that movie is like pretty accurate. It was what he was saying. So after 20 years or 30 years in the music business.
Well, what you're reminding me of in current news as we're recording this is that there's these strange sounds on the Boeing Starliner that's docked at the International Space
Oh, right.
Station.
They can't.
It's apparently it's an electronic sound. I think it's coming out of the speakers, but it's like this eerie sort of uh thump thump or ticking sound that's coming out of the speakers. It's like it must be some electrical signal inducing into the, but it's kind of creeping people out. It's like we can't figure out what this is.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the
Maybe
guy
it's
I was
somebody's
just
watch.
the fellow I was just talking about, it's on this podcast too. If you go back to a passage for trumpet or Trouble with Templeton, that's Ivan on those too. So he's
Hmm.
been here before. I have some trivia for a kind of stopwatch. Why do I want to call it a certain kind of stopwatch? There's a certain kind of episode, right? Another Twilight Zone.
Certain kind of
I just keep
stopwatch.
wanting to call it a certain kind of stopwatch, but it's just
Oh
a
no.
kind of stopwatch.
No,
I
a
don't know.
short drink from a certain fountain.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
That is a Twilight Zone episode with the word certain in
Yeah,
it.
coming in it pretty close to this one on the
Yeah, and
list,
that's
isn't it?
it's
So that
coming
might
up, I
be where I'm
believe.
conflating it. So, but today it's a kind of stopwatch. Original air date was October 18th, 1963. Michael D. Rosenthal wrote the story, but Rod Serling wrote the teleplay. John Rich directed. He had a part in Disneyland's opening and half of the TV shows in the 1960s. But the headline is that he, along with Happy Days' Henry Winkler, were the producers behind MacGyver. Hushed silence. Okay. Uh, featured music is by Van Cleve. Dude's been cleaving up the Twilight Zone lately and will continue to do so. This episode started off, and I was a little worried he was going to go down Bard Road again, but later on it seemed to clean itself up nicely. So McNulty was played by Richard Erdman. He made a supporting splash in war films like Stalag 17 and Tora Tora Tora. And if you're more modern minded, he showed up on the TV show Community just 10 years ago or whatever it was. Herbie Faye as your bartender, Joe Palucci. He appeared not only in the Phil Silvers show, but also in the new Phil Silvers show. He also appeared as the bartender in 1962's Requiem for a Heavyweight, written by Rod Serling. Potts, the watch-bearing drunk, was played by Leon Belasco. Belasco was born in Russia, but was in America to take regular but often uncredited roles in studio films. Like so many Hollywood players, he transitioned to television in the 50s, still often uncredited. Late in his career, it looked like he was getting a few more credits, but I hadn't heard of any of those movies, so I didn't list them. Doris Singleton was the secretary. She started in radio and began working in television in the early 50s, often on Lucille Ball's shows. Turns out they were good friends and met on the radio drama My Favorite Husband. Wait, Friends with Lucy. That doesn't sound right. Let's check Wiki again. Ah, long professional relationship. That sounds more right. Mr. Cooper was played by Roy Roberts. Hard to say his name. You want to say Roy Rogers every time you see it. Roy Roberts. He followed the Belasco route, mostly doing noirs and westerns in the 40s and 50s, though he was usually credited. Then he was a guest on half of the TV shows of the 1960s. Let's reference The Love Boat again if you didn't catch the first one. Robert starred as the ship's captain for 4 years on the Love Boat Precursor, Oh Susanna. I'm not quite sure what they meant by Love Boat Precursor, but that excited me, so I wrote it down. Dick Wessel was Barfly Charlie. I was about to stop trivia before getting to him, but then I noticed that he was Cue Ball in 1946's Dick Tracy versus Cue Ball, so I had to throw that out there. Uh, Although that's one of the ones I remember seeing in the 80s, like on supermarket VHS things, it's like $5 even in the 80s or whatever. I do
Mhm.
remember trying to watch the Dick Tracy serial and getting bored. So got through Buck Rogers, got through Flash Gordon. What's the Rocket Man one? King of the Rocket Man. I got through that. There are a few others I got through, but Dick Tracy, Batman serials, yeah. But Dick Tracy was a little bit boring. Sorry, Dick.
I'm surprised there isn't a Republic Serials streaming channel somewhere. Probably is, and I'm just
Yeah,
not
that's
aware
what I'll
of
say.
it.
That sounds like something might
And
exist.
there's a lot of
You,
material. Some of it I'm sure is lost forever, unfortunately, but there's probably enough material to kind of keep that going for a few weeks worth of content at least. It sort of
yeah,
cycles around.
I think you can. If you made a list of like the top 30 serials, they're probably all on YouTube. In fact, I
Probably.
will go.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, no, I gotta watch. I gotta watch. Was it 13 episodes of Buck? No, 12 of Buck Rogers, 13 of Flash Gordon. It's like I have to watch each one. Now I'd be like, watch the film version they made. And when you watch when you watch a serial, the same thing literally happens like 8 times, often with the same footage.
You
So.
mentioned or Mark mentioned Captain Video and uh
That's a loss of time one though, for the most part, right? I mean, there's a little bit of it,
well,
but
there's some that are alive, but then they did it's actually strange. It was an early example of a TV show, which mostly is lost to time, making a jump into a film. And so they kind of recast a few people and they shot a big long uh, film, but I believe it was serialized. And so you had to sit there and watch all, 50 episodes of it or whatever to put it all together. But it's out there, it's still available. And like you said, it's on YouTube. So
yeah, yeah. If you're willing to watch, old stuff, I was trying to use a word that wasn't too derogatory. Yeah, YouTube. It's I don't know if the key is going to change at some point, but then there'll be another website. Then you'll just spend more time on Daily Motion, I guess. I don't know. um. So, do you have a prologue in front of you by
yes, I
chance?
do.
Will
I
you
was
do said
prepared for
prologue, please?
once.
I didn't.
I
Yeah.
can do that. Do my like Andrew prepares for his stiff upper lip impersonation.
Dry lip, dry lip.
Dry lip. Oh, and this has that famous line right at the beginning. Submitted for your approval, or at least your analysis, one Patrick Thomas McNulty, who, at the age of 41, is the biggest bore on Earth. He holds a 10-year record for the most meaningless words spewed out during a coffee break. And it's very likely that, as of this moment, he would have gone on life in precisely the same manner, a dull, argumentative big mouth who set back the art of conversation 1,000 years. I say very likely would have, except for something that will soon happen to him, something that will considerably alter his existence and ours. Now, you think about that one, because this is the Twilight Zone.
All right. So here's a disappointment. Richard Erdman was 38 when he made this episode. They say he's 41, and he looks 41 or 38. You know, he's right. He looks age appropriate for once, I think,
I
which is a
thought he
rarity in
was,
the Twilight Zone.
when was he born? Oh, he was born in 25,
25. Yeah.
30, 40,
So,
50, 60s. Oh, yeah, not quite 40. Yeah.
and he
That's
looks,
the,
it's like the
yeah.
first person in the Twilight Zone that looks their age.
And his lifetime almost perfectly overlaps my father's lifetime. He
Oh.
was born in 25 and died in 2019. So he made it to his 94th birthday, though. I'm sadly Richard did not. But
Anyway, that's not quite here nor there. I was just noticing since
no,
so often we're like, that guy's
I
not
was thinking the same
36.
thing. We got an age for him, and we were told this, and we're thinking, yeah, this guy's probably 10 years older than he said they claim him to be. But in this case, no, he actually was about the right age. So
Yeah. Oh, yes. Just to continue my dumb watch talk. After not doing a watch for a while, I would do pocket watches actually for like 5 years, and then I started getting weird novelty pocket watches out of Japanese vending machines. So I went around with a Detective Conan watch for a while. That was
oh.
fun. With the brass and the button that makes it pop out, right? But
Yeah,
yep, my phone is my watch and my stopwatch now, isn't it?
I think we did all that watch discussion just prior to recording. We went on quite a while about it. I also have a little pocket watch. It doesn't have a lid on it. It's just the kind you just a little fob you pull out, and it's not my drawer full of watches.
Oh no, all the watch talk was right here in the episode, dude. We were talking about other
Oh,
stuff before the episode.
oh, that's right. We digress so much today. It's
It's a
amazing.
digression day, sure.
It's a
Uh,
very digression day.
um, is this a comedy episode?
Oh,
I
kind
think it
of.
is, but it's actually a decent one because it's not heavy-handed, maybe.
Yeah, it's not too pratfally with the cutesy musical cues that you hated so much when the bard was around.
It was it
Um,
was it was dabbling with that at the beginning, but it did
Well, I
not go
like
there in the
Van
end.
Cleve's little, ticking motif. It reminded me of the ticking motif that Goldsmith did in what was it, Nervous Man in a $4 Room, only less sinister. And it actually had a melody to it. It changed. It didn't just simply go tick tock, tick tock. It was so I kind of like that music. I think the music was okay for this episode. Van Cleve was very busy, I guess, in the
Yeah,
last
once
few
what there was
seasons.
somewhere later on where I was like, oh, okay, near the end when things are really starting to get crazy, bank job time. That's when I'm like, okay, now the soundtrack is good and fits this episode well. So, let's not throw the man under a bus. He made good music, but he's someone's got to pay for that Bard score, I think.
Was that him then too? I think it
Yes,
was.
yes,
Oh,
yes. Yeah,
okay.
oh yeah. I made sure to
So he's got a
remember who did
strike
that.
against him
He's
in
got a
your
strike
mind.
against it. Correct, correct. I think it's in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, what about? I remember when Goldsmith and Bernard Herrmann did all the scores, but actually, Living Doll does have a Herman score, maybe repurposed, but yeah, we'll get some Herman back soon. I
Yeah.
still think I prefer the Herman's theme for the Twilight Zone. Actually, weirdly enough. I like
It is
that
a good
season
theme.
one theme. Yeah, I think it fits the show better. It's not as bad a break as the Red Dwarf season one, two theme going to the season three theme. That's another unforgivable sin in Red Dwarf. But
Well, I think the Twilight Zone theme we know and love is actually like been diced up
two
from two
it's
different pieces of
two
music.
different
Yeah.
pieces put together. No, it's great, of course, it's iconic, but I really think they hit the nail on the head when they started. So yeah. Um,
We could have run with that. Yeah.
I guess the thing is, it's a comedy episode, but it has a really bleak ending. So it has a fully Twilight Zone ending. I mean, not to jump straight to the ending, but I think probably 80% people coming in already knew the ending, when they start this episode.
Yeah, and it had that very time enough at last feel to it. It was, a freak happenstance of something breaking at the end just ruins the entire thing. It's like Mr. Bemis or Beavis? Bemis
Beavis gets an episode.
was quite
Bemis is
happy being in his post-apocalyptic hellscape, which I don't know how he's going to survive. I thought he would just die of radiation poisoning almost instantly, but he has all his books. He's ready to read his books, and he breaks his glasses, right? You know, spoiler alert. And it's kind of what happens with it. He finally hits on an idea, which really is the very first idea would occur to anybody with this particular
yes.
magical tool is if you can freeze time, you can get away with all sorts of shenanigans. And number one being make yourself rich by going to a bank and taking the money out. So the fact it took him 24 hours to come up with that, it makes you realize, okay, this guy's doomed.
No,
He's not gonna,
my note is
he's
I assumed his first idea would have been to rob a bank, but I guess not. Well, he had to screw around with people first. This episode has been, emulated or homaged, if I said it right, many times. But
homage is correct. I was just talking about the word homage.
no, I saw that in the chat. That's why I said it that way.
It's not homage. Don't say homage.
Have I ever said homage? I don't
I don't
know.
think you have, but I've heard other people say it, and I've wanted to
Oh
slap
no, I
them.
didn't think you were blaming me for saying that. I'm just sitting here literally thinking, have I said it that way?
No.
I don't know if you had time to check it out, but there's been many homages to this episode. The Simpsons did it, of course, but when my daughter
Simpsons
was
did it.
when my daughter was younger, we watched the Madagascar movies. 3 is the best of them, weirdly enough, I think. And Madagascar 3 had a few episodes of the penguins of Madagascar on it, one of which is called Time Out, which does this basically. And I
Oh, okay.
like because usually, it's like if you put on the animated show of a movie, you're usually watching hot garbage. So um
No, I saw you sent me a link to that prior to this. I did not get a chance to check
okay,
it out.
anyway, the
Now
whole
I know
point
what
is
you're talking
they
about.
have the stopwatch, right? And they just go around the city like punking the entire city. So I
I was
thought
gonna
it was
say, how many ideas can we have of the shenanigans you can do with this watch? I
okay.
mean, you can get pretty dark, okay?
Watch yes, you can. Watch the Penguins of Madagascar's Time
Hmm.
Out if you really want to see these ideas exhausted properly. I did have to send you a Daily Motion link going back to not being able to watch something on YouTube, but
Oh, okay.
sometimes you have to watch the Daily Motion link, I guess.
Yeah, but there's a million and one ways to have fun with it, and then McNulty was just kind of scratching the surface of that. But
I guess personally it's on a DVD in the next room, so
well,
I
yeah, you
watch it
could
that
do
way,
that
but
too.
I can do that too. uh
Oh, but
let's
you'd said something like, for instance, why didn't he freeze time before going into the bank? Like, if you're going to commit a crime, I would freeze time like miles away from the crime scene and unfreeze time after I've left to make sure
yeah,
there's no sign of me. Like, I have an alibi in the next town over. I was there eating dinner and I would not be possibly ever, uh, accused of this crime. But yeah.
I thought his hot dog idea wasn't that bad. What is it? You squash the hot dog and put it in a hamburger bun? I bet they do that at Disney parks.
Oh, those is a list of crazy ideas. I forgot to note those. Those are all pretty ridiculous. Some
I
kind of make sense, but it's just like this is not $1 million idea.
n-
You know, they always
well
said $1 million. $1 was a lot of money back then. Everything was
oh
$1 million idea.
I meant I made sure to write a $1 million idea. A
A
$1 million idea. It's
$1
1 million.
million.
Just
Yes,
right, right.
exactly. That was
Also, why is he so confident that they can reverse engineer that watch? It's magic or something. Isn't he
okay.
like
We have to get into the origin of the watch. I mean, it was kind of
and
very
why would you want
ham-fisted.
anyone else to have it? I mean, you could give it to someone like that guy did, but you would not want that thing reproduced and have someone else have it.
See, the thing about the Twilight Zone is that you accept a thing like this, it's going to be a cursed object. It's going to be something that brought misery to someone, and they want to get rid of it so they can have a normal life and waste it on somebody else. This guy, Potts, didn't seem like he was miserable.
He was drunk. That's why.
And then, of course, the question arises, where did he get the watch from? Who built it? How did he build it? Is it science fiction? Is it just pure magic? I don't know. The big question in my mind is, wouldn't the watch be running all the time? And when you stopped the hand, that's when time would stop. And then when you unstopped it, then you have to wind it all the time, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I was like, he presses the button, things stop. He presses the button again, things are moving.
I mean, I
So
like a
that
little
was good
more
enough for me.
rules, a little more structure around the rules of this watch. Like you can freeze time and you get 30 seconds or 60 seconds of free time to do something while the rest of the world is frozen.
Yeah,
And
but
then you get in.
that
What?
breaks the ending of the episode.
Yeah, yeah.
See the paradox I just made?
Uh, and of course, the watch freezes time, but he can still interact with things. So how much time does it freeze? It freezes him personally. I mean, first thing that would freeze is the atmosphere, so he wouldn't be able to breathe or move around. So the atmosphere is not necessarily frozen. It just seems to freeze people, but then if you throw an object in the air, it like that Kleenex. I like that effect. There was like a Kleenex headed for the garbage bin, and it's just hanging there in space. That was one of the
I
cute
want you to
little.
keep thinking about this as hard as you can.
Yeah, I'm saying you go down a hell of a rabbit hole with that. And it's like, okay, you can interact with air, water, food. So can he stay alive for the rest of his natural life in this 1 second of time that he's frozen in? Or what,
The power of now, just like that
the
Eckhart Tolle
power
book.
of now. Yeah, it gets out of the realm of science fiction and into fantasy pretty quickly because the rules of time freezing are just mind-boggling when you sit down and think about them.
Hey, you want to talk about sports? You like the sports ball?
Sure. He
I
likes sports. He likes everything. He wants to talk about everything.
just yeah, I don't know. I guess in the early 60s you go and you talk about the ball games. Now would be Star Wars. I'd be in on that conversation. Everybody yelling at each other. Yeah.
Well, the people
Um
in the bar would be yelling at you. We're trying to watch Ahsoka. It's airing right now because this is broadcast, not streaming. So we can't rewind the game and watch it later. McNulty, go away.
then he calls soccer the fastest sport. It's like, what? There's sports with cars, man. I guess you could argue. I've heard people argue that Formula One's like not a sport. But I think I don't know. What do you think? Race car driving, sport or not a sport? That's definitely faster in soccer.
I guess the skill there is the driving because a lot of it though it depends on the vehicle. It's one of those things where the tool you're using is like in this case the car is at least if not more important than the person behind the wheel because it's got to be able to go fast and hug those curves and all those car things in order to win. So I don't know.
Well, let's see. We get off the sports, so I think I had one more thing to say about the sports, but I forgot what it was, so that's fine. Maybe that was what I wanted to say. I don't know. But
Well, that's definitely the main topic for the one bar that he's allowed in. Apparently, he's been kicked out of all the other ones, and I don't know why this guy's so patient with him. He scares his customers away every night, and he still allows them in. He must occasionally buy a round of drinks or something, make up
No,
for it.
well, the southeast version of this, the rite of passage for us is at some point getting kicked out of the Waffle House. So
Oh,
if you're a teenager in the southeast, you got to get kicked out of the Waffle House at least once.
don't think I've been to a Waffle House. I went to a Pannekuchen house once.
I
Pannekuchen house.
don't know what that is. Okay, but yeah.
It's a pancake house, but it's like,
Okay.
Scandinavian. I think it was a small chain that doesn't even exist anymore. It was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think I
The
think
one I went to.
Houses have spread quite a bit, but yeah, they're definitely like a like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina sort of vibe.
I keep looking for a good chicken and waffle place. There was a good one a few towns over that closed, and then another one opened up and it closed before I even got to go to it. It's like, why can't they stay open long enough so we can have some chicken and waffles? Damn it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that Atlanta has, like first-rate chicken and waffles in multiple places. I think, well, they used to. I'm sure they still do.
Well,
Again, haven't
if I'm ever in Atlanta, Mark and I are definitely going to probably hit a few places to eat.
they have a full Trader Vic's in Atlanta.
They still have a Trader Vic's in Atlanta? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
just
I
have the
got one. I
airport
got one
one.
here in the Bay. We
Yeah,
had a Trader
you
Vic's.
got the airport one, right? That's nice. That's good.
No, the one in Emeryville. It's out on the water.
Oh, you get a full one. Okay, that's cool.
And used to be down the peninsula from the Chevy's, which I think sadly is closed. Down at Chevy's restaurants, the so-called Tex-Mex, but it's a Mexican restaurant chain. Yeah, I
That
think
sounds familiar.
it's been collapsing for years. There used to be a lot of them, and now it's kind of like uh I know you're probably familiar with was it Krispy Kreme donuts?
Oh yeah, they even come into Japan's. They make a few inroads in Japan. So But most of it, our main donut in Japan is Mr. Donuts. It says Mr.
Oh,
Donut, but the sound in Japanese it's two, so everyone says Mr. Donuts.
well, they made in the 2000s a big push into California, and so they were appearing everywhere. But then after sometime around, I guess probably the recession, they realized they overextended themselves, and so a lot of the big ones closed. Like
Yeah,
I
they
have a
they
storefront
contract in
near me
Japan a
that,
little bit too. Yeah.
yeah, that I have
What?
a storefront near me, but it's not the full-fledged bakery, but the big Rube Goldberg machine that makes the
Oh, okay.
donuts. There used to be one next town over, but it's gone. So they have to ship their donuts in from like 30 minutes away every morning to the local one to put into the storefront. But yeah, that's another example of another big chain that just didn't quite uh make it. And of course, we've heard the stories about Red Lobsters
Yeah,
having
I'll watch those
problems.
YouTube videos all
Everybody's having
day
problems
about
with
collapsing franchise.
collapsing food franchises. It's kind of sad. You see these things you're very, familiar
Fascinating.
with from your childhood, and it's like, oh, I can't get one of those anymore because they're gone.
Oh, here's another thing. And somewhere in the middle of watching this, I thought the episode was called "An Unusual Kind of Stopwatch." I wanted to put an adjective on the kind. I don't know why. So, but
Now,
what's
this
the
was
first?
another case of Serling was taking another story and adapting it.
Yes.
He, he's been doing more of that lately, I noticed.
Well,
Because
that
he's too
makes
busy
sense with
teaching in New York. So yeah, you
five
get,
seasons in, you might need a few outside ideas here and there, I can dig it, man.
but it
So one
still
of
have his stamp to it, his feel, his dialogue and stuff. You can tell Serling wrote
so one of the
it.
first things he does with his stopwatch is stopping a Moscow military parade. Is he watching it on TV and stopping it that way, or did he just go to Russia? What's up?
Yeah, they just said he stopped things, and it's all stock footage from around the world. And it's like, is this supposed to be telling us that when he pushes the button, the whole world is in fact stopping? But
Oh,
it's
I
not like
assume that's correct. Yeah.
he is not, in fact, observing any of these things. It's just for us audience members to discern that he's not just stopping time in the room he's in, basically. So,
We brought it up a little already, but I mean, this is a good repeat episode. Like you said, it's definitely doing the time enough at last thing again, but with
mhm.
notable tweaks, and it feels different, which, that's much better than say I Dream a Genie, which I was like, haven't I already watched this, This one at least felt different, and I think, if I may be blasphemous, I think I like this episode better than Time Enough at Last, even though I named the podcast after that episode.
So this is now a kind of podcast,
Yeah, yeah,
a
kind of
Twilight
fun.
Zone podcast.
Yes, yes. No, no, I went with the name because it was a good name, right?
Matt's
So
going to change the. Okay, okay. Check your podcast feed next week, ladies and gentlemen. Matt's changing the name of the show.
no, I went with that name because it sounded good. Not it was not a quality meter of that episode because it's not actually one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes, but it sounds good as the title. But what do you think? How does this episode just I don't usually do like quality comparisons, but I feel like this is a good time to do it because I feel like nobody would say like this is garbage compared to that one, or maybe you would. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I guess it comes towards the our wrap up questions. And like, did McNulty deserve this? I don't know if I'm going to go there already, but it seems like it's set up like, yeah, here's a guy who gets this thing. Does he deserve it? Does he have the acumen to use it wisely, or is he going to just do ridiculous things with it? I'm wondering about the history of this watch and what
Well, and
other
this
things
is
that
a
are done with
nuanced character we're
it.
not supposed to judge. He's the biggest bore on earth, the dull, argumentative big mouth. We're not showing any bias here, are we?
No, not at all.
10-year record for the most
This episode,
meaningless words spewed out during a coffee break. This is the hardest Rod's been for a while, isn't it? On his character.
oh, well, I was going to think of, if you had a watch like this, you could do something like, say, Be on the Grassy Knoll, which occurs about a month after this episode aired. So it's
Well,
a
you
little
didn't know
too
that.
close.
You didn't know that, but yeah.
Yeah, you can just pop in somewhere and be in the right place at the right time to do something really dastardly and then just disappear again. And yeah, it's creepy. And again, I'm wondering what's happening with the history of this guy Potts and what he do with the watch. before he decided to just give it away. And why would you give
Oh,
it away?
maybe that'd be a more, maybe that'd be an even more interesting story. I don't know. I'm looking at the last few weeks. How do we describe the characters? Last week was Portrait of a Frightened Man. Okay, that doesn't throw him under the bus or anything, right?
Hmm.
And Steel, what do we get? We're not even talking about the dude in Steel. Okay, they didn't even talk about him, so nothing there. And praise. Oh, they call Klugman a bit of a scumbag and Pip, don't they? Well, a slightly the worse for wear maker of book, whose life has been as drab and undistinguished as a bundle of dirty clothes. Not glowing, but again, not throwing him under the bus. But a kind of stopwatch, yeah, is the first time in a while we've gotten just like this man sucks.
Well, maybe we should turn to the closing narration to get his take on that.
Okay, give that a read
Uh,
if you want to.
Mr. Patrick Thomas McNulty, who had a gift of time. He used it and he misused it, and now he's been handed the bill. Tonight's tale of motion and McNulty in the Twilight Zone.
Well, that's just cause and effect. That's actually not biased, really, is it?
Yeah, he's been handed the bill though. So it's kind of saying a judgment has been passed on him, and the
Yeah.
judgment
Oh,
is
yeah,
he's
that's
going
what
to
I'm
be
saying.
clumsy and destroy the thing that he needs.
By this point, nobody likes it. Yeah, and I love that it's just a clumsy, dumb thing that happens. Because of course it is. I mean, that's like what happens in Time Enough at Last as
With
well.
Bemis, yeah.
And
Hmm.
pocket watches, I told you I carried pocket watches around for a while, and they were out of, Conan, Detective Conan, ones out of vending machines. So they quickly break.
Hmm.
So
It reminded me of another much later Twilight Zone.
as
It's
in
not a
another
stopwatch
series.
though. Yeah,
Oh,
an 80s series.
there's an 85 episode that is continued, a sort of remake, A Little Peace and Quiet. And then you
Yeah,
could
I think
argue
I'd heard about
Click.
that too.
They also mentioned
No,
the
I
wiki,
was
they
thinking
mentioned
no.
Click, the Adam Sandler movie.
Oh yeah,
Whoa, hey,
Adam.
this is fun. We'll get to it, of course, eventually, but that episode was directed by Wes Craven.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of the Harlan Ellison story, Paladin of the Lost Hour, about a watch that has like the last hour of existence on it.
Ah,
You
okay.
have to safeguard this watch, and so it's passed down by generation after generation to someone who's worthy of it. Kind of like Excalibur or something. It's like you just have to guard this watch. It does have powers, but you can't use them without like using up the last hour of existence. So you have to be very careful with it. It's a good Twilight Zone. It's a good short story of Ellison's, and yeah, but again, why would you put so much power in something that's so easily breakable?
Ah, here we go. This is useful if someone's trying to remember when The Simpsons did it. It was Treehouse of Horror 14, meaning I've probably never seen it. And most of the world has probably never seen it. I feel like most people haven't seen
Simpsons
any
did it.
Simpsons past about season what, 11? Who's seen, yeah, it's a rarity when people say they've seen season 12 to 5,000 or whatever they're
Yeah, I
on.
don't remember the last season of Simpsons I watched. It was probably somewhere around 10 or something.
Yeah,
Like
same here. Like
everyone kind of gives up on it after a while.
I
I
would
don't know exactly
imagine.
how many good stories are in Simpsons in the
Yeah,
last
I was
15 years.
imagine they've got to have five good episodes each season. And if you took the last 20 years of Simpsons, that makes what, three or four good seasons if you just take the good episodes? So there probably is a lot of fun Simpsons to watch if you can, target the right
You know, there's
episodes.
probably a podcast out there that covers this.
Oh, yes, there are. That is an
Unless you want to
undertaking
start
that.
that one too, that'll keep you busy for the rest of your life.
Well, there's a lot of Twilight Zone too. I guess it doesn't compare to Simpsons though, even when you take all the series.
It is kind
Which
of creepy. It's been around for so long, all the things that The Simpsons has predicted in some way or another, like Trump being
yeah.
president.
Well,
That was kind of frightening.
when you have what, 1,000, how many episodes does The Simpsons have now? I'm gonna look that up. That's got to be worth something. I don't know. Should we start some questions then? Did you have another big observation you wanted
Yeah,
to
we
make?
digressed enough, I think. Let's see. Well, I do have some notes. Let me see if I covered anything
I
in the
guess this is
so
a
far.
very I think this is a very iconic episode. Again, it's been parodied several times, but it's not that
Hmm.
deep an episode. It doesn't have like a moral quandary to worry about, really. So, uh, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it's like, let me see. Well, is
How
this
many?
like the second or third time he's the phrase "submitted for your approval" got used? Is this where he starts grinding that phrase into our collective consciousness, Serling? Because we keep using that phrase
Yeah.
"submitted for your approval" because you'd
Yeah.
mentioned it a while ago.
As of September 2024, there are 768 episodes of The Simpsons. I thought it might be 1,000, that's why I had to look, but
There's still
it's
more Star Trek than there is Simpsons. That's kind of scary.
The Simpsons co-showrunner predicts the show could run for aiming for 1,000 episodes after a 35 run season. Wait, they're not 35 received great reviews, sparking discussion to a sequel to the Simpsons movie. Okay, well, someone likes the Simpsons now. That's cool, I guess. I imagine the voices can't sound right anymore now that they're all 30 years older.
I
Wouldn't
imagine there must be something happening with their voices. Maybe
little
I don't know,
AI
you can
cleanup?
pitch shift it a little bit if you really
Yeah.
need to. Yeah, well, ultimately AI is going to replace all those actors. I suppose they'll probably be the first example of an entirely AI generated
So,
show.
who in this episode, a kind of stopwatch, just to make that clear, went through or into the Twilight Zone?
Pretty clear it's McNulty. I
Yeah, he
mean, I
lives
don't
there
think
now.
anybody else, yeah, and he
Potts,
definitely lives there
Potts.
now.
Again, there might have been a more
Potts,
interesting episode we did not
I think
see.
Potts has a great backstory. I wanted to hear more about Potts, but
He's
he seemed
got
kind
his,
of dull.
yeah.
At least
Um,
in like the man with the bottle, the lady's, the genie bottle came over from the old country and she sold it at the pawn shop. At least they had a backstory. We know where it came from to some degree. This watch, no, not so much.
Sometimes it's kind of fun to just have a Twilight, like the penny for your thoughts. The penny just is kind of there, right? Where'd it come from?
Oh,
You don't even know where'd your pennies come from? In my case, where'd my yen come from? I don't know where my yen have been.
well, as you may, I think I may have mentioned it somewhere at the time. It's like they were going to make like a series based on that penny because the penny itself was magical. They determined that the penny was the cause of the time freezing, and it would then to be a weekly episode. Whoever had the penny, the not for time freezing. I'm sorry, mind reading. That was the gimmick. Uh, Week after week, people would have the penny, and different things would happen to them.
I don't
So
think you get a series out of time freezing, but hey, same concept. The watch is magical, right? What more do you need?
well, again, they could have done it. If you could do mind reading, you could do time
I
freezing.
guess you tend to know where your watch came from, though. Like I bought it at this store, whereas a penny, it's like I don't know where I picked that up. Might have some kind of disease on it for all I know.
I wish it had some sort of distinctive mark on it or something you can recognize as the penny, not just
Have you
some
seen the
random penny.
Upright Citizens Brigade penny sketch?
No.
Oh, it's pretty foul. I'll have to send that to you. If anyone wants to look that up, search for Upright Citizens Brigade, ass pennies.
Oh, okay. No, I know exactly what you're talking
You
about.
know what I'm
I've
talking about. Okay.
not.
That's the comedy troupe I took drinking once. When I was in university, I often had to take, the talent. I was the vice president of the university union, so I often had to take the talent to and from shows.
Did they pay you in pennies?
They didn't pay me at all. They gave me a stipend. But yeah, one, they got ripped before their show. Put on a great show, by the way. And when I'm taking them to the hotel, they're like, "Where's the good bar?" So I took them there. Which, if anyone's in Athens, Georgia, that is the Manhattan, which is my favorite bar there. It's the weird hipster bar. Um, where were we? McNulty in the Twilight Zone, Potts in the Twilight Zone, pennies, watches. Yeah. Okay. Did McNulty deserve his trip into the Twilight Zone? Would you like to read the prologue again? You don't have to do that. This is
No, I
pretty on
don't
the
think I have
nose in
to.
this
It's
episode.
very on the nose. Serling told us that this guy is, well, I don't know if it's worth sort of this weird living death of being stuck in time, but he was definitely, the irony is it's a man who cannot survive without someone to talk at, not talk to, someone
Right.
he can talk at. And he has the whole world to talk. And then it's even a line of the show. He says, it's the greatest conversation piece, but it stops conversation. And it's like now he has no more conversations.
Yeah.
So he got his
Um,
comeuppance in that sense, but it's a little dark in the sense that
and he
what's it gonna
broke
do?
wildly quickly, right?
Is he gonna
Um,
live? I mean, he's gonna live a normal life in this frozen moment. Like I
oh,
said,
if
does
it's
he have
eternity,
water?
that's
Does
even
he have
worse.
food? Can he survive? I mean, I
Yeah,
guess it's going to be, 3 in the afternoon forever, wherever he is. He could travel,
yeah.
go around the world,
The
assuming he
engine
can
won't
find a.
start. He's got to walk there. He
Yeah,
can't.
he's gonna
Well,
have to walk everywhere he goes or bicycle. He can't take a boat or anything because there's no wind. I don't
so,
know how he'd travel.
although that's long term thought, right? Millions of years, he actually is running out of food because he's eaten all the food of the Americas. Well, I guess then you just die. You could die of starvation. I guess after a few million
I'm
years,
assuming
maybe
he's gonna
something like
grow
that.
old, die like a normal person, that his aging hasn't stopped. There's no evidence to suggest it did.
Time stopped.
But
His
then he would
aging
just
stopped.
become this god of this one moment in 1963 that can make all sorts of magical
The
things
moment
occur.
all the food disappeared, that's how everyone else is going to see it.
That's exactly. Well, I was saying, dark, you can go kind of dark with this. I mean, maybe 9 months later, there's a bunch of immaculate births. You don't know.
That
Uh-huh.
said, in the episode, McNulty broke pretty quickly. I mean, he snapped within 5 seconds,
As soon
like
as he realized what happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
he just instantly went full nutters, which you'd think he'd have to process it at least a moment or three. But he
Did you
went.
think the Frozen acting in this episode was better than that Space 1999 episode we just
Yeah, I
did?
gave the bartend I gave the bartender props on that in my notes. I was like, he's a good still actor.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark
Yeah,
Landau couldn't hold still as well as this guy.
so someone should write their college thesis about the art of still acting over the years.
Now
And
it's just you could just use CGI,
I was about to say,
and
when did
make
it
them
end?
absolutely still.
When did it become like you don't have to just make people stand still anymore? Yeah. Because yeah,
Okay, stand still for like 3 seconds. Okay, cut. Oh, we got it. We'll just fix in post.
right, right. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like this episode better, but I feel more sorry for Mr. Bemis. That guy just wanted to read, which, at least that's not being annoying. Because this guy has
Yeah,
to
that's
spend
not
the
a
whole,
crime. Why
yeah,
couldn't Bemis just read?
annoying everyone. That's a crime, right? Annoying people's a crime.
You're less sympathetic with McNulty than you are with
Yes.
Bemis. That's definitely true.
Uh, let's tripometer this one. Of course, 0 is not trippy. 5 is very trippy. Where would you like to put it?
I think time manipulation is inherently fairly trippy, so I got to give it at least 3. I would, if the episode had explored more outlandish things that he could do, things that I'm not even thinking of right now, but I'm sure there's a lot of clever things that might have gotten the size of 4. But
Again, time
I
out the
think
Madagascar penguins of Madagascar episode.
okay.
That gets it. Also, I believe in that episode they fix the watch and exit the time stop at the end.
Okay.
So,
Well,
he
that's good.
could go about fixing the watch. I guess the watch is hard to
Oh
fix though,
yeah, why couldn't he fix the watch?
because
He's
he's
got all the
stupid.
time in the world to fix the watch. He can't even sit and listen to, Louis Armstrong singing, "We've got all the time in the world."
Right.
Um,
He can hum it to
because
himself.
he can't, yeah, he can't play. Yeah, again, we can get into how many objects he interacts with can actually function while he's interacting with them, like a record player. So I'll
Sorry,
give it probably 3 at least.
that's exactly what I was thinking, pretty much for the same reason. That it's got time manipulation, but it doesn't go that far. That's like slightly above average on the tripometer. So 3. I have found we are 4 episodes in. I haven't actually recorded last week's episode yet, but whatever. I we'll see what I decide to tripometer it. Because that's 20,000 feet where it's like, am I thinking of quality or am I thinking of trippiness, right? So,
Oh, that's
but
hard because it's such a classic. You have to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
divorce
So
yourself
I'll need to
from the
watch it.
mysticism.
I
Yeah.
haven't had my rewatch. I need to do that before well, everyone's heard it because they heard it last week. But I do know the first 2 episodes had very low tripometer scores from me, at least, because
Hmm.
it's not like the quality's bad in the season, but I have not been tripped out yet, man.
The twist is that Steele is the guy's name.
Right, right. I mean, that's not that trippy. So I like the episode, but it's not that trippy. So I am curious when we're gonna get a ringer for the season in those terms. So yeah, 3 for this one, but that's a high so far this season. I don't know. I'm looking on the list. I don't think it's gonna be next week. Living Doll, that again, so iconic. I'll need to watch it again, right? Um,
Speaking of things that happen shortly afterwards, it's like a month away from, well, it's at JFK, but also a month away from the premiere of Doctor Who, which of course is a big time traveling thing, which have done all sorts of frozen episodes, I believe. There have been times the doctors had frozen things. I was also remembering Wink of an Eye from TOS, right? Where Kirk gets sped up more like he drinks some water and he gets sped up and he's basically frozen in time. Same sort of story. So
right.
throw those in there along with Click and Madagascar and
What
other
is
examples of that type of time freezing thing. I think there's also a another contemporary story. It was the Wild Wild West. There was some sort of elixir that some guy could drink and make time freeze and get away with things like bank robberies. So again,
Oh, this is
it's out
weird.
there.
This might be in the trivia when I get to it, but Probe 7 Over and Out actually was scheduled to run on, I think, was scheduled to run on November 22nd and got preempted by a week.
Yeah.
Just since you brought it up, I just looked at the dates and what do you know? It's actually going to air that day, which is kind of wild.
Well, yeah. When you talk about time travel, everybody wants to, redo the Kennedy assassination or the Lincoln assassination, which we did on Twilight Zone. We did the
Right?
Lincoln assassination and time travel with
Wasn't that Gene Roddenberry's pitch for like every Star Trek movie after the first one that they just didn't accept because they weren't listening
we
anymore
want
for
to
better or for
save
worse?
Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that was or no, it was gonna be like Spock actually shoots Kennedy because it had it's like the Edith Keeler thing, like it has to happen.
Or Red Dwarf, didn't they have to actually go?
They might have heard the skinny that was the plan for all the
They
Star
messed up
Trek
time and they
movies from
realized, oh, now we got to
or at least
kill
that was
Kennedy.
Roddenberry's
Darn it.
plan for all the Star Trek movies.
Uh,
Who knows? Maybe he had a great script for that. I don't know.
yeah, Edith Keeler is like an exemplar of the like, well, this terrible thing has to happen, otherwise all the good things won't happen afterwards. And it's like,
I guess that's the thing with the Kennedy assassination, because that's the thing that's like, did a bunch of bad things happen because of that? Is the world where that didn't happen better? Maybe I don't know. That's I mean that's
well,
I guess
in
I
the
guess that's
decades
why
afterward, in the decades after, it was like if Kennedy didn't die, we wouldn't have gone to the moon. Like that was an important thing to achieve at that point in time. But what have we done with space travel in the last 50 years since we have gone to the moon? Not that much. We didn't make it to Mars or anything. We haven't spread humanity across the stars, so we could have delayed
what
landing on the
happened to
moon.
our space 1999?
Yeah, where is our moon base alpha? Dang it. So,
It's on the far side of the moon, and it's a secret. That's where the Nazis are now, right?
oh, what is that thing called?
Iron Sky, I think's the
The
movie.
Iron Sky. I've yet to see that. I keep
I
wanting to
watched
see it.
I watched the first half because that's one of the ones I got in the Blu-ray apocalypse, and it wasn't like this is terrible, but I never got back to finishing it. So let's
It
put it
sounds
that way.
amusing. I think it's
It's
probably
one of those
worth
things
it.
where it's like, yeah, it's got the amusing conceit, but it doesn't really have the gas to take it all the way. I guess.
Anyway, we're talking about time travel, and this episode is about the exact opposite of time travel. It's like you can't do anything. Time is stopped. And so
Yeah, it's
that's
kind of
where our imaginations
I
kind of run aground. It's like, well, I can imagine going through time and doing things, but what would I do frozen in a moment in time for all this,
right.
you
This
know,
isn't time travel. This is time loitering.
time loitering? You will never, and Minolta will never see the results of all of his good deeds. He's undoubtedly going to go perform while he's in this state.
Okay, I guess we'll wrap this one up for today then. I will stop time for everyone. But before doing that, tell you where you can start time again is on Patreon at Podcastius, where you can support us if you want time to continue and not stop. Where you get extended episodes of this. We went on talking for way too long. If you want to hear that and us talking about map
Oh, we talked
coordinates.
very, very, very long time. Yes.
Space 1999. We just are finishing up our run of that show. That we, as in Brian and myself, and regular guest here, Mark, at Podcast 1999. Give that a listen. We will be going ape soon, so we will be Serling adjacent, at least for a movie there too. And there is some video game stuff there. Luke loves Pokemon. Game show, and I think the Monster Mash is coming back soon as there is a new Monster Hunter game. I don't know what I'm talking about though, so don't ask me any further questions on that.
Matt, we're a ladies' foundational garment company.
But I want to make games that I don't know anything about. I thought you were gonna fire me. Oh well.
No, I was just waiting for him just to say that McNulty, this is a bra company.
Well, you can't say that on 1963 television.
I
Um,
guess not.
I guess I will stop this recording because people already got heard us too much before the episode. Later, alls.